The underground garage smelled of fresh paint, synthetic oil, and ambition. Asterisk bright fluorescent lights reflected off the glossy silver body of the McLaren P1 prototype, a machine so rare and advanced it wasn't even listed in the company's internal inventory yet. Engineers in slim-cut suits and shiny shoes circled the vehicle, eyes gleaming with excitement, voices murmuring technical jargon and corporate lingo. Asterisk Elena Cortez stood apart from them, kneeling beside the rear fender. Her coveralls were dark, with oil stains, her hands calloused, nails cut short, not manicured like the hands of the people watching her work. A thin streak of grease ran from the side of her temple down to her jaw, unnoticed, or maybe ignored. Her hair was pulled back in a tight braid to keep it out of her face, but a few damp curls clung to her forehead under the humid breath of the ventilation fans. Asterisk, she was in the final stage. A delicate recalibration of the combustion control module. A task none of the suits dared attempt, but all were eager to see succeed. Asterisk, who even is she? One executive whispered, not subtly. Asterisk, she's the garage tech. Just a mechanic, another replied. I think she worked on aircraft before this. Asterisk, no degree? Asterisk, nope, some military background. Self-taught, mostly. Asterisk, that made one of the men laugh. So we're letting an ex-soldier with a wrench tune a $7 million prototype? Asterisk Elena heard them, of course. She always did. The comments had started on her first day. The tone never changed. But she wasn't here for chatter. She was here because the McLaren's performance had flatlined at the last test. No one could fix it, no one but her. The last bolt clicked into place with a satisfying snick. She stood slowly, wiping her hands with a rag, her gaze fixed on the titanium hood she had just resealed. Her heart was steady, her breathing calm. She had done everything right. Then came his voice. Richard Langford, asterisk CEO of Renswick Automotive. Tall, silver-haired, and sharp-suited, he walked like the world owed him attention. The room grew quieter as he entered, the crowd instinctively parting like oil and water around him. Asterisk, what's the status? He asked no one in particular. Asterisk Takada, the head of R&D, stepped forward. Elena's just finished recalibrating the engine. She believes it's ready to run. Asterisk Langford stopped. His eyes found Elena, then dropped from her eyes to the grease stains on her chest pocket. Her? He asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. You're telling me we put a $7 million asset in the hands of someone who looks like she changes tires at Jiffy Lube? Asterisk a few nervous chuckles rippled through the crowd. Some looked away. Takeda didn't respond. Asterisk Elena lifted an eyebrow, but said nothing. Asterisk Langford circled the car, inspecting it like a lion sizing up prey. She's not even an engineer, not a real one. What's she going to do? Hit the engine with a wrench and hope it starts. That got a louder laugh. Elena calmly folded her arms. You're free to take a swing at it yourself, sir. I hear your MBA comes with a socket set. Asterisk Langford froze. Silence. A few shocked expressions. A cough. Takeda smiled behind his hand. Langford's lips pressed into a thin line. You think being a smartass will impress anyone? Asterisk, no, Elena replied coolly. But getting this machine to roar again just might. Asterisk, she walked toward the driver's side door, the crowd parting just a little slower for her than it had for Langford. Step back, she said over her shoulder. I wouldn't want your suit catching fire. Langford scoffed but moved. Elena slid into the custom Alcantara seat like she belonged there. She adjusted the seat with 3 firm clicks, her fingers flying across the dash as she activated the custom ignition panel she had rebuilt from scratch. No one breathed. Asterisk, she inserted the titanium key, a prototype itself, into the central slot, and paused. A flicker of memory hit her. Months of working after hours, testing mock-ups, designing her own calibration curves, while the others went home at 5. Asterisk. She twisted the key. Asterisk. The engine didn't just start. It ignited. Asterisk. The roar that followed wasn't the harsh clatter of combustion. It was music. A deep, confident bellow of twin-turbocharged fury. The kind of sound that makes bones vibrate and hearts pound. It echoed through the garage like a predator announcing its territory. Asterisk. The executives flinched. One of them actually stumbled back. Asterisk. The McLaren wasn't just alive, it was angry, hungry, perfect. Asterisk. Inside the cabin, Elena smiled. She gave the throttle a playful tap. The response was instantaneous, razor sharp. The engine sang at her touch. Asterisk. She shut it down a moment later, leaving silence in its place, but not the kind Langford controlled. Asterisk. When she stepped out, no one spoke for a beat. Then murmurs began, soft, impressed, almost reverent. Langford looked like he'd swallowed his own tongue. Elena handed the key back to Takeda without looking at the CEO. Modified ignition, triple resonant turbo calibration, and a rebuilt timing belt no one bothered to inspect. The car's been choking for weeks. She's breathing now. Asterisk. Takeda took the key gently, like it was a trophy. And you did this by yourself? Asterisk. Mostly, Elena said. I used some parts from the older F1 test bed and tuned the ACU based on the weather data from Silverstone. Figured we'd want to test it there eventually. Asterisk. Langford blinked. How did you even know how to do that? Asterisk. I listen more than I talk, Elena said, cleaning her hands again. And I don't assume people are only worth what they wear. That stung. Langford opened his mouth to fire back, but Takeda clapped Elena on the shoulder. Asterisk. Well done, Cortez. You just saved us millions in PR and development costs, and gave this team something to believe in. Asterisk. A few more claps followed, real ones this time. Even a whistle. Langford grunted something and turned away, retreating toward the elevator. Elena didn't gloat. She didn't need to. The McLaren had done the talking. Asterisk. She grabbed her toolbox and started packing up, already thinking about what she could improve next. Asterisk. But from that day forward, the people in suits didn't call her just a mechanic again. Asterisk. And even Langford never quite looked her in the eye. The echoes of the McLaren's growl still bounced off the concrete walls long after the engine had gone quiet. Even now, the silence buzzed, not with awkwardness, but reverence. A kind of silence that followed something undeniable. Something even power couldn't talk over. Asterisk. Langford's face had gone pale, his usual corporate mask strained with something he hadn't felt in years' uncertainty. Asterisk. Elena, said a calm voice from the back of the crowd. Asterisk. Takeda again. The soft-spoken head of R&D pushed forward, holding the titanium key like a sacred artifact. He approached Elena as if she were not just a mechanic, but the mind behind something divine. Asterisk. Was that the triple torque calibration model you mentioned last month in your test notes? Asterisk. Elena wiped the last of the oil from her hands, tucking the rag into her tool belt. It was, she said. I ran simulations off the grid, since I didn't exactly have full access to your lab tools. But I had enough data from the dyno logs and failure telemetry to build a working model. Asterisk. Takeda raised a brow. You did it blind? Asterisk. Elena shrugged. Not blind, just underfunded. A few quiet chuckles floated from the back. Langford, arms crossed now, looked like he was chewing gravel. I never approved that model. We scrapped it. Said it wasn't viable. Asterisk. Takeda didn't look at him. You said it wasn't viable. She proved otherwise. She's not even, Langford started, but Elena cut him off. I know. I'm not an engineer. She walked a few steps closer, meeting his eyes fully. No letters after my name. No Ivy League credentials. Just 12 years in the military, 5 as an aircraft technician. I worked on turbine engines that failed at 30,000 feet. No room for guesswork up there. Langford blinked. I taught myself code because the software kept lying. Taught myself physics because our instructors didn't have time. Taught myself combustion theory in a tent in Kandahar while eating MREs. Her tone never wavered. So yeah, I'm just a mechanic. A damn good one. Asterisk, the air in the garage shifted again. Executives who had ignored her minutes ago now looked at her differently, not with pity, but attention. A few nodded slowly, absorbing her words like lessons they should have learned long ago. Asterisk, Langford scoffed, searching for a way to wrest control back. Don't get cocky, Cortez. You fixed a car. That's not vision, it's repair work. Asterisk, Elena smiled without warmth. And yet, I'm the only one in this room who actually made it run. Asterisk, Langford stepped closer, his voice dropping to a growl. You think this little stunt changes anything? Titles exist for a reason. You don't belong at the table? Asterisk, she met him halfway, voice calm but cutting. No, I belong in the garage, where things get built. While you're at the table making PowerPoints, I'm down here making horsepower. Asterisk, a few low whistles and sharp exhales floated from the sidelines. The tension was thick enough to cut with a wrench. Asterisk, Takeda cleared his throat. With respect? Richard, she didn't just fix a car. She increased our torque output by 12%. That's after 6 months of stalled development from your top-paid team. You don't have to like it, but you damn well better recognize it. Asterisk, Langford looked around. Nobody came to his defense. Asterisk. Elena, Takeda continued, turning back to her. How would you like to join R&D officially? Asterisk, Langford stiffened. You don't have authority. Asterisk, I do in my department, Takeda said sharply, cutting him off for the first time all day. And I'd like her heading prototype testing. She just proved she's the most resourceful talent we've got. Elena hesitated. A part of her wanted to accept right then and there, to slam the door on every doubt they'd cast on her. But another part, the stubborn, methodical part, needed to be sure this wasn't just a PR move, that this wasn't some token offer to clean up a viral moment. Asterisk, she crossed her arms. I'm not interested in being your feel-good redemption arc. You want me on your team? I need access to real tools. Full clearance. And I pick my own projects. Asterisk, Takeda nodded without flinching. Done. Asterisk, and one more thing, she added, glancing at Langford. I want a public record of who signed off on killing that calibration model. Just so no one forgets what almost didn't happen. Langford looked like he'd swallowed a nail. Takeda smiled. That can be arranged. Asterisk, it didn't take long for the news to spread. Someone had recorded the exchange engine roar, and all in within hours, the video went viral on internal channels. By the next morning, the Drive, Motor Trend, and even Forbes Auto had run the headline. Asterisk, just a mechanic, restores $7 million. McLaren with bare hands and brilliance. Asterisk, comment sections exploded. Engineers from all over the world applauded her. Women in STEM posted clips of her mic drop moment. Ex-military mechanics called her a hero. Rival companies quietly reached out. Langford's phone didn't stop buzzing for all the wrong reasons. Board members called. Investors raised eyebrows. Public image consultants started rehearsing ways to spin the moment in Langford's favor. But the truth was stubborn. You couldn't unhear that engine roar. In the days that followed, Elena officially joined the prototype team. She traded in her ragged coveralls for a matte black R&D badge, though she kept the boots and the grease rag, just to remind people where she came from. Asterisk, her first day in the lab. One of the junior engineers offered to walk her through the equipment. She kindly declined, and then proceeded to teach him something new about sensor drift curves. Asterisk Langford avoided her as much as possible. But every time she passed him in the hallway, he looked just a little smaller. Asterisk and Alana. Asterisk, she didn't care about revenge. She didn't want apologies. She didn't even want his job. Asterisk, what she wanted, what she had always wanted, was the space to build, to solve, to do the work that everyone else claimed couldn't be done. And now, finally, they were listening. Asterisk, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't claw for attention. She just let the engines speak. Asterisk, and they roared louder than any boardroom ever could.